content over everything.
Are you guys okay?
Yes.
All right. Why are we here, guys?
Remember the 400.
I can't hear you. Why are we here?
Remember the 400.
One more time. Why are we here?
Remember the 400.
Okay, that's right. Listen, this is how we overcome. We shall overcome.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome.
Someday.
We have overcome.
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 Today.
Why? Because we're
Marching towards our freedom.
Freedom.
We have been liberated.
Liberated.
We are moving on. Marching towards our freedom. We have been liberated. We are moving on.
Come on, marching
towards our freedom.
Freedom.
We have been liberated. We are moving on.
Come on, one more time, marching
towards our freedom.
Freedom.
We have been liberated.
Liberated.
We are moving on. There's no way I'm going there to a place that is full of hurt and pain and strife.
Come on.
There's no way I'm going there to a place that is full of condemnation. Tell hell I said no.
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 No.
Tell hell I said no.
Why? Because we're marching
towards our freedom. We have been liberated. We are moving on. Marching towards our freedom. We have been liberated. We are moving on. Marching towards our freedom. We have been liberated. We are moving on. Marching towards our freedom. We have been liberated. We are moving on. Oh, there's no way I'm going there to a place that is full of hurt and pain and strife. There's no way I'm going there to a place that is full of condemnation. Tell hell I said no.
No.
Tell hell I said 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 no.
Okay, listen. Ooh, there's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there.
There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there.
Come on, everybody in the crowd, help me say.
There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there.
Come on, everybody, come on, clap your hands. Come on, clap your hands.
There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there. I'm not going back there, no. There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there. There's no way I'm going there.
Remember the 400 guys?
Thanks for that. 3 calls, well done. You opened up powerfully and wonderfully. We appreciate that. Today we're here to speak about the Remember the 400. We have the leader and representation of the 400 here today. We're going to speak about it. we've got a young lady called Charmaine. She's going to give us an overview about who we are, where we're going with this mission, and what we aim to achieve from this today and in the future. So please give a warm welcome to Charmaine. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. That was wonderful. I think, Rico, thank you so much for that song. It really represents who we are as a people. We like to sing, we like to celebrate, we like to enjoy ourselves. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this very, very important event. My name is Charmaine Williams, and I am the UK chairperson for Remember the 400. We are an international, not-for-profit community organisation founded by author, actor and musician Shadrach Porter. Today, we at Remember the 400 are here in Hyde Park Speakers Corner, acknowledging and to commemorate August as our Freedom Month. It all began in August 1619, when a small Dutch ship brought the first set of enslaved black people from Africa to Virginia and made them slaves. In August 1834, in the House of Commons, in the British Parliament, they called the act to abolish the slave trade. Here we have August, reflecting full circle the transatlantic history. Black History Month is held in October, but it is a time for Pan-Africanism, for people of African descent to consider common goals. But we, at Remember the 400, we support Pan-Africanism, yet we are not Pan-Africans. We are the descendants of the children of slavery who were sold into bondage, and so we have a definable black history that is relevant to our current circumstance and citizenship in this country. We, during this season, dedicate our time to consider the atrocities and the contributions that our forefathers and mothers went through. A time when we reflect on the atrocities that we went through. A time that we really take a moment to really celebrate our lives and our survival. Now we know that although we announce August as Freedom Month, we cannot ignore the common social injustices that we still face today. The British Empire abolished slavery, and you may know names such as William Wilberforce. But we cannot ignore the fact that if you have the power to abolish slavery, then you also had the power to direct the slavery. You also profited from our slavery. And indeed, this did happen. Now, American artist Carl Walker, whose artwork you will find in the famous Tate Modern Museum, said that her work is an allegory of the Black Atlantic and really all global waters which disastrously connect Africa to America, to Europe, and to their economic prosperity. She also said, and I quote, England was the beneficiary of the slave trade and of its products. And so you have this kind of institution that spans hundreds of years. Everybody is implicated in it, including the people who endowed this very famous museum named after the Tate family that made its fortune in the sugar business, founded on slave labor. These are the words of American artist Kara Walker, whose work is displayed in the Tate Modern Museum today. Now, her work exposes the irony and the dark side of imperial history, and this is and was the Great British Empire. Now, I will go on to tell you that in the same article it reads that payouts to slave owners are equivalent to around $3 billion. Now, we are not talking about payouts to the slaves. We are talking about payouts to the slave owners. The British government have only just paid the loan back of the Bank of England in 2015. They've only just paid the loan back from the Bank of England in 2015. And the loan was money to compensate slave owners for their loss of human property. To compensate slave owners of the loss of human property. Now, this means that my parents, my grandparents, and I, coming from the Caribbean, who are descendants of slaves, have actually been paying the descendants of slave owners via my taxes for my current state of freedom. Now, if this does not speak volumes to you, if this does not take a toll on your heart, then you are witness to the discrimination that we face every day from people who could actually help to make a change, but who just do not care. We contributed via forced labor, and still, yet, I pay the debt to today's generation to no longer be in chains. On top of this, we have to undergo systematic oppression in all of our endeavors, yet little understanding or empathy from the communities around us. Now, I myself, with Shadcock Porter, many years ago, we went to the Tate Modern Museum ourselves. And you know what stood out to us? We saw the picture of the white Jesus and the white disciples. And the only black person in that picture was Judas. Typical. Now, when we cry for social justice, we are speaking much more. We're speaking much more. It's not just about the colour of our skin. We are talking about a system that is embedded in oppressing us, and even through mental abuse. And still you say, how? The descendants of slavery, we have not been restored of our identity. You call us black. We have not been restored of our self-worth. And then we have to prove our citizenship, although we have no other place to call home. The Windrush scandal, the detainment, the night flights, the loss of homes, the loss of jobs, the loss of welfare rights is a testament to the current, to today's injustices that we still face. And this is a shame and a true British scandal. Regardless, we celebrate August as our true freedom month, a freedom that we will continue to strive for. For we have rights so much more than the liberties that you give us. For we want true social justice, and we will continue to seek to heal this racial divide. Now, the flag behind me, this flag, this is much more than a piece of cloth. 400 represents the years of abuse that that we have suffered at your hands, being lynched, burned alive, our children taken from us, the rape that we underwent, being treated worse than a dog, and a dog is now considered a man's best friend. The purple, it represents the highest form of our spirituality, our resilience, and our royalty. We stand in honor of our lineage, of who we are, and of who our God is, being the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Today, we remember individuals like William Wilberforce from England. In Canada, John Grave Simcoe. In the USA, Frederick Douglass. In the Caribbean, the island of Jamaica, Nanny and others. And in Guyana, Kofi, and many countless others, all who helped shape the many liberties that we have and justices that we fought so hard to get a hold of. But we still have a long way to go. We will stand tall so that we can allow the next generation, these little children that you can see right here, we will stand tall so that we can allow them to stand on our shoulders. If you join me, if you join us in remembering the 400, we will no longer have to cry out that Black Lives Matters.
Yes.
Remember the 400. Our mission and our aim is to establish, is to educate all on our history that is not taught in schools, to empower our people, both young and old. The foundation is dedicated to promoting diversities in our community and in healing the racial divide.
Yeah.
Cultivating a community where peace and prosperity reign for all races. Peace and prosperity reign for all races. For current and future generations. We at Remember the 400, we are a vehicle to educate the world of the history of the children of slavery, their atrocities and their contributions, our contributions globally.
Yeah.
We at Remember the 400, we are a driving force for social change. We are an international community organization as we represent the diaspora, the scattering of a nation of people.
That's right.
We seek to heal the racial divide. And let August be the real freedom month for the children of slavery. Let our Prime Minister and his government be aware of our request. Anyone who stands for truth, anyone who's an advocate for justice, please stand with us in solidarity as we remember the 400. Thank you. We are a community organisation, and I would at this time like to welcome up the deputy of this organisation, this young man who's been helping to put this together, Levi Rogers.
Alright, so can you guys hear me? Can't use it. I'm gonna have to shout as loud as possible because we've been told we can't use a mic just now. So I'll try my best. So as Charmaine Clark said, my name is Levi Rogers. I am the deputy chair for the Remember the 400 UK branch of this organisation. Thanks, guys. And I'll be I'll be performing a speech that was written from the head of the organisation, the worldwide organisation, Shadrach Porter. Ladies and gentlemen, associates and colleagues, allow me to extend a warm welcome to all of you for taking time off from your busy schedule to spend this most important time with the rest of us, to reflect on a subject matter which ought to have been discussed a long time ago. What happened to us should never have happened. But today, it is upon us. Today, it is a reality. The end of the 400 years is upon us. And this is the reason why I suspect that we are all here today. To open up the files and to begin the process of in-depth researching and investigating into why this terrible act happened to us. And to at least start the process of finding the answers to this terrible question. This should be the day when we remove or begin to remove the bandage from that old wound, which we thought should have healed by now. But lo and behold, it is still raw and painful. It is still bloody. It still makes some of us awfully sick. To some, the bandage makes them comfortable. It makes them forget what is underneath. It embarrasses them. They are annoyed when someone else mentions it or points it out. Any way you look at it, my dear friends, the wound is real and no piece of bandage can heal it. And it will not heal unless you and I do something about it. That piece of bandage acts only as a cover, and it is time we remove that piece of bloody and messed up camouflage and treat the sore as a sore because it is a sore.
Yeah.
Whether you are a politician or a professional, whether you are a thief or a vagabond, whether you are a Rasta or a non-believer, or any of the so-called philosophical practices that we have adopted since our arrival on these shores, we should all remember the most important thing. We all came with the same ships, but in different shipments. Let the spirit of this memory live within us. Let it keep us alive, because regardless of what you hear or what you believe, this is the only memory, the only common thing that can bring us genuine unity. The picture that I am placing to your minds might be very upsetting to some of you today. You might even want to throw up or be angry with me, or for those that place it there. But it is there to remind us that there was no time. It is there to remind us that there was a time when we depended on each other. There was a time when no philosophy could have separated us. There was a time when we had no class. There was a time when we needed each other's bodies, not to use or to abuse, but to keep us warm in the cold and dark bellies of a ship. We did not notice the sores on our brother's feet or the hanging breast from our sister's chest. We did not look for the handsome face or the sexy body. We clung on to anyone who was close by for comfort, for warmth, and for assurance. We were all children of the same faith then, children of the same God. Our noses were insensitive to our siblings' perspiration. We did not care how each other smelled. All we had then was each other. My God, what went wrong? The sound of freedom? Are we now free to kill each other? To turn up our noses at each other? To abuse each other? Are we now free to enslave our own minds? The lower we cast ourselves, the heavier will be the footprint on our faces. Believe it or not, all we'll ever have now and forever is each other. Nothing else is of the truth. We are all children of the slavery. Our fathers and our mothers once resided in the bellies of a slave ship. The memory of the horror should burn within us like an everlasting fire, unquenchable.
Yeah.
This type of burning fire should provide us with enough energy that will give us the strength to defeat whatever obstacle might stand in our way. If there was any time when we needed to examine our attitude, today is about the right time to start.
That's right.
My dear friends, we're here today for one thing and one thing only, and that is to bring to life our stinking past. To raise it out of the grave where it has been sleeping for far, far too long. 400 years is a very long time.
Yeah.
To place it before the eyes of the world so that we may see and they may see and acknowledge and be reminded what has been done to us. Today we need to shout harder and louder than any other nation. Why? Because we suffered more than any nation of people upon the face of God's earth.
That's fact. That's fact.
If we suffered longer than any nation of people, then why are we so silent? Is it because of fear? Is it because of the inferiority complex? Or is it because we think that there is no need to be reminded of the pain that our fathers and mothers suffered? It is so difficult for the perpetrators to recognize their contributions to our pain and the injustices that they have inflicted upon us. We must begin to take a careful look at what happens when you make noise. When a baby is hungry, they cry and cry and cry until you feed them.
Exactly.
Once they are fed, then they put on that happy baby face again. Others have been crying for as long and as hard as I can remember. For example, since the State of Israel was formed in 1948, the American government gave the Israelis over $100 billion US. Why? Because they cried, ladies and gentlemen, well-wishers and friends. I'm not angry with anyone for crying. I'm not angry with anyone for feeding them either. But I'm angry with you and I. I'm angry with us for not crying at all. I'm angry with us for not trying hard enough. I'm angry at those of us who keep saying, don't worry about it, it's long gone. I'm staring mad at our disunity and lack of togetherness and approach. We pull each other down rather than pushing each other up. We are angry when one of us reaches the top and we try our best to bring them down. We have become our own enemy. We sympathize with others and their suffering, but we refuse to remember our own dilemmas. We need to remember how it must have felt in the bellies of that ship, packed like sardines in a can, where we peed and pooed on each other. We need to remember the humiliation of the selling block, branded with a hot iron bearing the mark of our ownership to another, standing there naked while other men stared at our buttocks. They don't even do that to pigs.
Exactly.
We need to remember the whips on our backs, the raping of our mothers, the taking of the virginity of our sisters and daughters by unscrupulous perverts. Yes, we need to remember our brothers and fathers hanging from that old oak tree. Yes, we need to remember that we were the strange freaks that the good old singer sang about. My dear friends, we must never forget being hunted by dogs for sport and the tearing of our flesh that we were dogs' food. The day we forget all these things will be the day that we continue to find ourselves down the valley of despair, enjoying others as they urinate their doctrine and their culture and their philosophy, and we will no doubt continue to enjoy the taste of their diet food. Since the 1500s, our parents were hunted like wild animals. We were brought and sold like commodities, put into the bellies of a ship and transported across the Atlantic like cargo to Cuba, Jamaica, Santo Domingo, and Puerto Rico. That same era, the Englishman John Hawkins brought 300 captives, according to him, as indentured labourers to the United States and the Carolinas. From then on, it continued and the brutality never ended, even on our so-called freedom today.
That's right.
On the 24th of August, 1619, a Dutch ship officially started a trade in the US by buying 20 niggers from the west coast of Africa and selling them on the same shores of Virginia. On the 7th of August, 1833, the British House of Commons passed the Freeing of Slaves Act. On the 28th of August of that same year, the bill received royal approval. On the 1st of August, on 1834, the law was put into practice in all British colonies. Why are we still celebrating February or October as Black History Month? What can we teach our children about them months?
Reason.
We need a day of our own choice with meaning to our history. We are the children of the sand, sea, and sun. Why are we then celebrating a cold wintry month like October or February? Is it because it is one of the shortest months of the year? Or is it because it is the coldest? When we say never again, we must mean it, work to prevent it. We must let the world know the real meaning and definition of a slave. The English dictionary defines a slave as a person who is the legal property of another and bound to absolute obedience, while the definition of slavery is the condition of having slaves. We were brought, sold, and owned. We did what Massa told us to do. Let us therefore make an effort to remember who we really are.
That's right.
Because there might have been a lot of slavery in the world, but there never has been, and I repeat, never has been an entire nation of people enslaved and brought into Egypt again with ships.
That's right.
There have been no people bound and chained and placed in the belly of a ship with the yoke of iron around their necks and sold into slavery. Other slaves in history, as far back as the days of Alexander the Great, as he was called, even joined the armies of their captains and fought side by side. We were not allowed to do that. Some nations might have even lost their wealth during the Holocaust, but they quickly gained it back. But we lost our dignity, something money can't buy and time can't replace. The sweat of our brows and the whips on our backs built up both Egypt, old and new. This day should be for all the children of slavery throughout the Americas, whether from the North, the South, the Central, or the Caribbean. We need the month of August to be endorsed as Black History Month. We must be prepared to sell this idea to every government where the children of diaspora reside. In the past, some people of a Caribbean background have treated our Emancipation Day, the 1st of August, with forgetfulness. Most of our children don't even know or understand the importance of this day.
That's right.
They see it as a day to party when it should be a day of our own Thanksgiving. As I said, let us tear positive pages from the book of others and use them to our advantage. We must at all times remember that in the past, there were dedicated people, not of our race, that helped us gain our freedom. The American Anti-Slavery Society was formed by European Americans who gave their platform to free slaves like Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, and a host of others. Even the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, was formed in 1909 by European Americans. It was the Quakers who travelled all the way to England to plead our cause.
Exactly.
Some gave their lives so that we can be free. It was people like John Brown who gave his life for our brothers and sisters to be free in the United States.
That's right. Yeah.
Let this not be a time for finger pointing, but rather let us use our hands to build a strong unity among us, to fight the injustices that suppress us. Let's build a stronger future for our children and for ourselves.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is my prayer for my people, that one day we will all wake up from that old dream and put on a new coat of confidence, wearing the jewels of a new plan, getting up from that old bed of nails, shaking off the shackles of slumber and washing ourselves with the clean water of vibrancy, as together walk hand in hand towards a new horizon, a new beginning, new ideas. Riding side by side together in the vehicles of understanding towards a brighter future with a new attitude, sorted with peace, love, truth, prosperity and power.
Yeah.
All these things I've said and spoken about so many times before, but it was never as relevant as it is today. And I pray that the next 400 years brings us peace and understanding of self. For this is what I leave you with today. Thank you.
Well said, Levi. Absolutely passionate and true to what the situation is happening today. With that being said, we have another young speaker, as it is about the youth, the way forward, the future. We have Chennai speaking about the education system and the lack of our history. Please welcome up Chennai.
This is a spoken word poem titled Just Miseducation. I'm a student, and in school, an inquiring mind and inquisitive nature are two treasured qualities for every student to bear. So with that, I pose the question, what does it mean to be free? Now I understand that we're no longer in captivity with shackles on our feet and planting seeds from the fallen fruit of the cherry tree trailing behind as we step on the streets, but still, I wonder, because trust me, I get it, we're no longer answering to master. But still, every October, I sit in class with my eyes on the screen as they announce next week's Black History Month Assembly. Here we go again. The annual 30-minute dose of diluted, sugar-coated, sorry excuse of acknowledgement and education for people that look like you and me.
That's right.
That's right.
The ethos of many schools is to channel the potential of their students and encourage them to achieve greatness. It sounds wonderful, right?
Yeah.
So why then not just tell the truth, sir? The whole truth. Miss, not the mere 3/5 of the truth that paints your nation in a better light. Why not equip your students with the knowledge they need to know that they can amount to more than the false images of struggling single mothers? And if not a rapper or a baller, then dead before they reach 21. And absent fathers of distant daughters teach us the truth, sir. The tales that can be told with just their voices alone, the rhythm and blues in their song, the beauty in every crevice of their vessel, the journey in their eyes, the mind inquisitive and inspiring, just how you like it.
That's right, Shania. Right. Come on, girl.
The mosaic of generations that make up the faces that we see when we look in the mirror. So when you glance at the reflection looking back, know that you are somebody who comes from a lost line of somebody, beautiful, powerful, loved and free. Why don't you teach me that I am more? They never taught me about my ancestors, forefathers, true freedom fighters. They taught me so little about me when I got the chance. I dropped history and chose geography. At least now I know the names of the seas. The ones the Dutch ships sailed across to bring my family here way back then in 1690.
Exactly.
They never taught us to remember the 400. Beyond all the hate and dehumanization, long before we were hunted. In our own land, with our own feasts and our own words, to our own beat, crowned and ruling in ivory seats. That was you and me.
Exactly.
Leaders, kings and queens with strength and dreams, the nations they left behind. The people with love, light and joy turn commodity. Please, you tell me, when did my hair become a political statement?
Right.
Our melanin a commodity to please a fake tan, golden glow loving society? What does it mean to be free? Are we not sick of telling our brothers to rest in peace? Why can't they live in peace too? It's up to us, from the elders to the youth, to break this generational cycle and build something great, build something new together, brothers and sisters, hand in hand with unity and harmony, so that we can sing the song of the ones before us, aware of their struggle, but proud of their truth. This is what it means to be free.
Yeah.
So as I step with my feet on the soil beneath me, I walk with knowledge of self, the remnant of my forefathers and mothers, the truth of their roots, origin and culture, which is my untold history. But as I said, I'm just a student. So why would you listen to me? Thank you.
I nearly jumped out of my skin listening to this young lady speak. If you didn't get nothing from what she said, it's telling you today that the youth are crying out, trying to understand and learn about their history and their culture. But the schools are deceiving us. They're not allowing the youth to know their way. Let me tell you something. You think she was young? We've got even younger here coming to the stage, wanting to inspire. Give us the knowledge and the food that we need. Please, give it up for our young lady. Where is she? Shira.
Hi everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Hi everybody. Hope you're all doing well. My name is Shira and I'm 7 years old. And today I come to share some of my life experiences and reasons why we need to take action to empower ourselves. I know some of you might laugh and think, what could a 7-year-old possibly have to say and share about her life experiences? Well, I tell you, during my short years, I have been affected by what has been going on today and will continue if we don't talk out about it. From young, I learnt that my skin and hair is not beautiful. I urged my mother to buy me one of the white dolls I saw on TV and again in my nursery when I was 3. My mother bought me the brown doll instead. I was so upset. I mean, it wasn't really what I wanted. It wasn't white, and I saw all the other black little girls had the white dolls as well as everybody else. The hair was blonde, with length you could comb it easily, and it was shiny. No one at this point told me that my skin was bad or ugly, but I didn't like it and felt I wasn't pretty. Even at school, my hair is often commented on. hear things like, that's not your hair, why is it short? And once my teacher said, why did your mum do your hair like that? It's not fair to go to school to only be questioned about how I look. As much as I love school, my wish would be to go to a school where there are more children like me, that share the same culture as me, like things I like, and speak the same language as me. Remember the 400 is so much more than you may think. It's more than just signing a petition. It's about gaining and demanding rights for a better future.
Exactly.
So that my parents and family don't have to teach me in secret about who I am and where I come from. It can be open and normal in like everything else in the world. We, remember the 400, want to do what is right for us and what makes sense for us to do, like celebrating black culture and history in the month of August rather than October, which has no meaning or relevance to us. Today we must empower ourselves through action. If you support us, then you support yourselves. We hold the key to our own education and learning. We hold the key to our future. Thank you everyone for listening to me, and I bid you all a good day.
Well done, Shira. So much passion and conviction from a 7-year-old. If she can get up here and speak, I'm sure a lot more can. Without further ado, we have a teacher that's going to come up here and give us a bit of knowledge of the education system in the UK. Yeah? So please give it up for Mr. Charles.
Okay, good afternoon everyone, hope you're all good. It's a very hard act to follow up on, so very well done to Shira. I worked at a school in Hackney. My name is Alistair Charles and I'm a maths teacher. One of the reasons why I went into teaching is because I wanted to be the difference. I said I want to be the teacher I wish I had as a child. And one of the things that's difficult is we don't have a lot of representation. Now, in the education system, the school that I worked at, a lot of black kids were disproportionately sanctioned. They were sanctioned for things like their hairstyles, they were sanctioned for their attitude, for congregating in groups, and when they were in large groups, they were supposed to be affiliated with gangs. And it was not things that were necessarily true, and there were lots of biases that were kind of purported and perpetuated on black kids. So being a teacher and speaking up against these things, it was difficult because you're subject to a lot of detriment and you're not allowed to grow and thrive because you are going to upset the system. And the system wasn't built for us, and that's the thing. The current education system has a lot of flaws, but one of the things I'm going to focus on is about the teacher representation. Now, any parents in the house? Okay, now, you are your child's first teacher. And one of the things that's difficult is patience. We may not have a lot of patience, and we have a lot of milestones. And milestones that we say, okay, by the age of 10, you must be able to do this. I'm a maths teacher by profession, and sometimes we say by the age of 10, you should be able to know your timetables. And if you don't know your timetables, you may have failed. But have you spent the time with your children to do those things? And some of the work needs to be done in-house as well. There are a lot of things that need to change, and there's not one particular way to make the change, but we need to look at the things that we can do in-house, and that's representation and having patience. And one of the things I'm going to say is be like a child. Children are very, very loving, children are very, very caring, children are very, very empathetic, and they're very forgiving. But they're also very vocal. They will speak out against injustices, which is what everyone is doing here. If something is unfair, they have a very strong sense of injustice. As a teacher, if I tell one kid off, the first thing that kid will say is, he was talking as well, or she was talking as well, because they feel that it's unfair. Now, we're calling out a lot of the injustices and a lot of the changes that need to be put in place, and hopefully there's a lot of positive changes that have happened and will continue to happen. And I just want to thank Remember the 400 for having this platform to speak on this particular platform. One of the things I wanted to speak out and mention was the current case that I'm going through as well. So at my previous school, I spoke out against a lot of the injustices that were happening in terms of the profiling of black kids. So one of the things that I spoke about a lot was the hairstyles. So I remember a time where there were some black kids, we had training on how to police or how to impose a uniform policy. And there were 3 pictures of black children with different hairstyles, and we were told this one was right, this one was wrong, and this one was wrong. And I remember standing there thinking, why are there no white children? Why are there no other races of children being taught about or being spoken about? And I put my hand up and I mentioned it, and I brought up another student, and the whole audience gasped because they realized how much the other child's hair was against the school's policy. And it's difficult, but these changes are happening, and I'm currently taking my previous employer to court, and it's difficult, it's tasking, and a lot of the time it feels as though that it's a never-ending battle, but we stand on the people that stood before us, or we stand on the shoulders of those that fought before us. So it's a case of continuing to fight, continuing to speak up, continuing to be vocal, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on this particular occasion. So thank you very much. My name is Alistair Charles, and if you check out my Insta page, it's at Alistair La Vista, kind of like Hasta La Vista. But yeah, thank you very much. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charles, for giving us that insight. Certain things that you brought up, we don't even know about, you know? Thank you, much appreciated. We also have now another young man. Where is he?
There.
He's going to do a wonderful speech, a speech that we probably all know and heard of Malcolm X. So please give a warm welcome to our young man, Caleb.
Who's ever heard of the angry revolutionists? All harmonizing. We shall overcome someday while tripping and swaying along arm in arm with the very people those supposed to be angry voting against. Who's ever heard of our angry revolutionists? Swaying their bare feet with the oppressors, in lily pad pop pools with gospels and guitars. And I have a dream, speeches, and the black masses in America were and still are having a nightmare. He's got the peace prize, we've got the problem. If I'm following a general and he's leading me to battle, and his enemies tend to give him a award or reward, I get suspicious of him. Especially if he gets a peace award before the war is over. I, for one, believe if we give people a thorough understanding of what confronts them and the basic causes that produce it, they'll create their own program. And when the people create their own program, you get action. I might point out there to the colonialism or the imperialism as a slave system. The West, it's called, is not something just confined in England or France or the United States. The interests in this country are in cahoots with the interests of France. The interests in Britain is one huge complex all combined, which is what's not known as the American power structure or the French power structure, but the international power structure.
Come on.
Yeah.
This international power structure is to suppress the masses of dark-skinned people all over the world and exploit them and their natural resources. If you're not ready to die for it, put the word freedom out of your vocabulary.
The power of the future is evident and is in front of us. Yeah? If we're failed, they're not going to fail. You can see that the way they're delivering here today, so powerful with conviction and with passion. It's actually quite emotional. If I'm honest with you, it's quite emotional seeing the youth getting up here, speaking about our history and what we've been through, or our ancestors, and what we still go through today on a normal struggle at work, going to school, even just walking in the street. being a person of colour. But with that said, I'd like to introduce our next speaker. There's a young lady, well, she's not so young, but young lady speaking about the movement. Yeah? She's given a poem. Give it up for Siobhan George.
Hello and welcome everyone. Right, so my poem's called All Lives Matter, so I'm just gonna go for it. All lives matter, so they say, but in 2019 in the land of dreams, it's only black lives being taken away. The police, the feds, the popo, the fuzz, the ones who have been sworn to protect and serve us, are killing our men and our women in front of our mothers and in front of our children. Still they say all lives matter, but that's not what I've seen. I've seen crimes against my people in a land where all men were created equal. Tell me why then are they killing our black men? I say there's nothing new under the sun. They will always shoot us down like dogs with their guns. Nothing new. However, we have smartphones to evidence the persecution of our loved ones. But where is the justice? Is that we don't see. They're still able to destroy you and destroy me, trying to eliminate us, make us like dinosaurs, make us extinct. Why? Because we pose a threat to their way of living. Why? Because we take, never giving. Why? Because the colour of our skin. Why? Because it was a punishment from God for our sin. I know the answer, but I will let the thought resonate in your brain. And while you're thinking, I will have my final say. All lives matter. Yes, it's true, but Black Lives Matter right now. Right. What says you?
Power! Power and conviction came from that lady's mouth. And it's the truth. All lives matter, but right now, our lives matter. Right? My gosh, I'm trembling. I'm trembling. Oh my gosh. Without further ado, we're going to welcome up the next speaker. He goes by the name of Jaden. He's a youth leader. Yes. And he's coming forth with his youth speech. That's right. Give it up, please. Yes.
How's everyone doing? Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me good? Yeah. The Remember the 400 organization stand before you today to commemorate Freedom Month. Now many may ask, if you haven't heard, why Freedom Month now in August? So I'm going to tell you. On the 7th of August 1833, the British House of Commons passed the Freeing of Slaves Act. On the 28th of August in that same year, that bill received royal approval. On the 1st of August 1834, that law was put into practice in all British colonies. That is why I stand here today and tell you that we are commemorating Freedom Month in August, because there is meaning and there is purpose as to why we are celebrating it in this month. Because the correlation between those major historical occurrences is that every single one of them happened in the month of August. Because of that very reason, I stood in Virginia last year where the first slaves touched American soil. They came on the 24th of August 1619 in a ship called the White Lion. And that contained 20 people that looked like you and looked like me. And they officially began selling us. I spoke to a crowd of people and I told them that my forefathers were indispensable when it comes to building these countries. Can we agree on that? Yeah. We built these countries with one hand tied behind our back. Same thing I said there. One hand tied behind our backs. Now that's a figure of speech, so try to understand what I'm saying. We built those countries with one hand tied behind our backs. So imagine what we could do with both hands stretched forth towards the heavens. That's right. But are we taught that in schools? No. Why? Because we leave others to teach us about our history. That's why we're in this very position we are in today, where many children believe that our history starts in the belly of ships. But let me tell you something, no more will we sit back and allow that to be the narrative. The Remember the 400 are working towards eradicating that narrative.
Come on.
Our vision is one of an equitable society. Our vision is one that promotes awareness and it promotes understanding amongst all racial and ethnic groups. Our vision is one that aims to provide the descendants of the children of slavery with the necessary tools, funding and support needed not only to thrive but to begin the process of healing the racial divide.
Yeah, that's right.
We understand that our youth are the future of tomorrow. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Yes!
Now, we understand that here. So if we're gonna invest in our youth to be the future of tomorrow, you have to understand what the mission of the Remember the 400 organization is.
Yeah.
Our mission is to empower our youth and others, teaching them of our atrocities and contributions globally.
That's right.
Our mission is also to provide the tools where we can affect positive change in our economies, promote equality and social justice where the descendants of the children of slavery reside. Now, speaking of equality, freedom fighter and founder of the Remember the 400 organization said so eloquently in his speech that even Levi read today, so I'm going to quote. For those that missed it, he said, "We must begin to look at what happens when you make noise. When a baby makes noise, they cry and cry and cry when a baby is hungry until they are fed. Then they smile and put on that happy baby face." So pay attention to what I'm about to tell you because it's really important. The local Japanese were placed in camps and treated as enemies, and they cried. They were recognized and compensated, and that is good for them. The veterans who were captured in Hong Kong by the Japanese, they cried. They were recognized and compensated. Good for them.
Come on, come on.
The Jewish people have demanded recognition and compensation from every single government that they believed was privy to or had involvement in their Holocaust. They cried, they were recognized, and they were more than compensated. So let's talk compensation for this, shall we?
Come on, come on.
As expressed, since the State of Israel was formed in 1948, the American government has given Israel over $100 billion. Why? Because they cried, they were recognized and compensated, and that is good for them. The German government has fed them with over 100 billion marks. Now that's equal to 49 billion pounds. Why? Because they cried, they were recognized and compensated, and that is good for them. The American government again gave them $100 million plus a Holocaust museum, which cost American taxpayers, by the way, another $150 million. Why? Because they cried, they were recognized and compensated, and that is good for them. In 1998, they again sued big corporations, this time in Germany, and Volkswagen came up with another 12 million because they cried, they were recognized and compensated, and that is good for them. Now, as you could tell, everyone's kind of caught on to that. I wanted to do that so you guys could catch on, right? But I want to dig just a little bit deeper because I take it that you guys understood what I was just saying, right? So let me take it a little bit deeper. Israel is the largest cumulative recipient of the United States foreign assistance since World War II, if you didn't know that already. To date, please stick with me, listen. To date, the US government has given them $142.3 billion in bilateral assistance and missile defense funding. From 1971 to 2007, they also received significant economic assistance. Stay with me, I'm going slow for you guys. In 2016, the US and Israeli government signed a new 10-year MOU. Now, if you don't know what an MOU is, it's a memorandum of understanding. So it's a signed agreement between both parties that throughout those 10 years, the US government would give them $38 billion. Now, that is part of the new MOU. Notice I said new. The old MOU finished in 2018, and that was a 30 billion understanding agreement between the two. So listen, don't shoot me. I'm just stating facts. And don't be offended because it's factual. I'm only telling you facts. Do we understand that?
Yeah.
And I want you to understand that what happened to them was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely terrible. So if there is anybody here who was affected by the Holocaust, understand that I acknowledge the pain that you went through. I acknowledge it, and I've said it. The 5 years that you went through of that Holocaust was absolutely terrible. But my people endured 400 years. Can you say the same for us? Can you fight? Can you help us to fight for what's fair? We've endured 400 years. Now, before I leave you, I want you to understand that the Remember the 400 is a global organization. We are in the UK, we are in the US, and we are in Canada. We are willing to work with peaceful, like-minded individuals and organizations. We stand before you today, the same organization with the same mission to be achieved on an international level. So may I remind to you our mission. Our mission is to empower our youth and others, teaching them of our atrocities and contributions globally. Our mission is not only to look at the problem, but to execute solutions. Our mission is to effect positive change where the descendants of the children of slavery reside. Our mission is to promote positive change in our economies, promote equality and social justice in our economies also. If you want to help us, we encourage you to please do 5 things. We encourage you to 1, sign our petition to make August Freedom Month, because I've read to you the relevance. 2, donate to us, because we have a GoFundMe on our website, and this goes to our material and our equipment to help us teach and get out our narrative. 3, volunteer in our community events. 4, join our mailing list so that you can keep up to date. 5, help us partner with government, public, private and corporate sectors to execute positive change. And lastly, please follow us on Instagram at Remember the 400. My name is Jaden Campbell. Thank you for your time.
Fantastic speech from young man Jaden here. He asked us, what did he ask us to do? What else?
Donate.
What else?
Volunteer.
And what was the last one?
Instagram.
Yes, if you can do that, that will be good for us. Thank you. With that being said, we're going to introduce the next speaker. It's a young man going by the name of Josiah Fowler. He's doing spoken word. Please give him a warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Fellow men of the Negro race, greetings I say unto all of you today. If others laugh at you, return the laughter to them. If they mimic you, return the compliment of the equal force. They have no more right to dishonor, disrespect, and disregard your feelings and manhood that you are in dealing with them.
Come on.
Honor them when they honor you. Disrespect them and disregard them when they violently treat you. Their arrogance is but skin deep, an assumption that has no foundation in morals or in law. They have sprung from the same family tree and obscurity as we have. Their history is as rude and as primitiveness as ours. The world today is indebted to us by the benefits of civilization. They have stolen our arts and our sciences from Africa. So why should we be ashamed of ourselves? Their modern improvements are but duplicates of a grander civilization that we reflected on thousands of years ago to be resurrected and reintroduced by the intelligence of our generation and our prosperity. So why should we be discouraged because somebody laughs at us today? Who to tell what tomorrow will bring forth? Did they not laugh at Moses, Christ, and Muhammad, were there not a culture in Greece and Rome?
Come on.
We see and have changes every single day. So pray, work, be steadfast and be not dismayed. As the Jew is held together by his religion, the white races by the assumption of the written law of obscurity, and the Mongolian by the precious ties of blood. Likewise, the Negroes must be united in one grand racial hierarchy. Our union must know no clan, boundary or nationality, like the great churches of Rome. Negroes, we must practice to have one faith in ourselves and confidence in one God, one aim, and in one destiny.
Come on.
Let no one, I say, let no religious scruples, no political machinations divide all of us. Let us hold together under all clans and in every country, a racial empire upon which the sun shall never set.
Yes.
Yes.
Power is just gracing this stage. Power, conviction, and give me something. I said power and conviction. What else? What else?
Professionalism.
Exactly. It's been here, standing here. We've only got 2 more left. Don't leave. Stick with us. Hear the truth of our people. Please give a warm welcome to Ricardo, that's going to be speaking on a father's take on what's been going on in the system and what's been going on during the 400 years. Give it up.
For far too long, my people have been victims of covert and overt racism, so deeply rooted within the foundations of society. Due to this deep-rooted history, we as a people find it difficult to distance ourselves from certain ideas that has negatively been placed upon us. A few examples of these. When black boys are in groups, it's considered a gang.
Exactly.
When black women show compassion, they are considered aggressive.
Come on.
Exactly.
There are numerous examples when it comes to the narrative of reference of our people. Even small cultural gestures can be considered as rude, but seen as our children has been placed in segregation and suspended from schools. An example, kissing of teeth. Every aspect of society, from education, criminal justice systems, employment, policing, healthcare, community, we are unfairly treated amongst our fellow humans of a different race. For centuries we have had to fight for the most basic human rights.
Exactly.
To be treated fairly in the UK.
Yeah.
We have contributed to this very foundation of society with our sweat and our blood.
That's right.
Without even getting a thank you. To the extent that now when we request equality, we receive the negative expression that we should be grateful to be in such a positive society. Well, how progressive is this society what cares more about statues of slave owners than the slaughters of these same slave owners that committed against my people for hundreds of years?
Exactly.
Well, all of us have our own experience of racism in the UK. For me, I remember as a teenager being stopped by police and arrested for robbery. At the time I fitted the description, so I was swiftly taken to the police station only at the age of 15 years old. To be questioned without a solicitor, without a parent, without an advocate. They already broke their own laws by interviewing me.
That's right.
They did not call my mother, but attempted to encourage me to accept their blame for the offence that I never committed. Their goals would have eventually had me in prison locked up with a criminal record and a crime report closed. As a father of 2 young black boys, I'm terrified that they would have the similar experience in relation to racism within the UK. In order to prepare them to go out into the world, I have not had to have the talk about how to conduct themselves on the street, so they don't only shame me, but I had to also give them the main talk. What to do when they are stopped by police. What to do when they are being asked to search you. What to do when they go in areas which may intimidate others because of the colour of your skin.
Come on.
To take a different route home, to keep safe. It might take a longer route, but you're safe. If arrested, do not say anything until you're able to arrange for a solicitor, even if that means staying in a police cell overnight. These talks that I believe most of us have with our black children is upsetting but necessary. It's as necessary for them to understand that the blessings of being black also intimidate others. Penalises them that their skin colour is a wonderful blessing, but the world sees it as beneath them. The system has been set up. The system has been set up to ensure that our people become statistics, even though the true picture of black people contradicts the statistics. Yes, there are drugs in black areas, but there are drugs in white areas also. Yes, there are violence in black areas, but there is also violence in white areas. The problem is that the system polices black areas more than the police other areas. Of course there are going to be more arrests.
Exactly.
Hence why more black arrests. This is not a black and white issue. The goals of the Remember the 400 is to heal the racial divide. And to empower our youth and to tell the story and to inform others how we contributed to economical status of prominent countries.
Exactly.
However, we have to deal with the truth of the matter, and that is for 400 years, people who look like me were mistreated, oppressed, disrespected, and victimized.
That's right.
Well, no more. We will accept mistreatment. No more will we accept oppression. And no more we will be their victims. We as a people will discover new ways of working with each other to find solutions to our problem. We will unite in order to end the systematic racism. We will educate ourselves and our children so that our wonderful legacy will live on even when we have left this earth, and that we will return to what we destined to be.
Come on.
Thank you.
The power of a father. The power of a father. As he said, he's raising 2 black boys, raising them to be men in this here world that we're living in this here England. It's not an easy task, but it's doable. With that being said, I want to introduce our next speaker. He's going to take us into the 4 minutes of Remember the 400. 4 minutes silence. Yeah? Please give a warm welcome to our young man over here, Elisha Fowler.
my people, why are you so blind? For years, decades, centuries, they've been killing our minds. They see us as an object, a target less than an animal brings to my mind. Is it a sin to have a color like mine, even in these times? No. So why do you hate me? Do I offend you that much? I just want a life of peace, filled with love and such. Enough of this oppression. When will it end? I'm scared for my future if my elders won't lend me their ears. So what end must we suffer? Get your knee off, I need air. I can't breathe. I hear my people screaming for 400 years. But you don't care. All want to hear our cries. We will never come up for air if we divert our eyes. Realize, our skin color will never disappear. The truth is finally out there for you to hear or forbid. There's a solution to the problem, but the solution is not mine. It's time for us to come together as one body, one mind. Know thyself. Know thy history. Only then can we shine. Embrace your true spiritual calling. Our God is waiting. It's time. Let's support our black businesses from the least to the big ones.
Go ahead, Elisha.
Let's send every petition and leave all the violence behind.
That's right.
Stand steadfast in protest till the world is on their knees. Only then will overcome and be finally free. Remember the 400. Now it's time we remember the 400 by taking a knee.
Guys, come on. No, you guys.
All remember the 400, please.
ContentCOE everything from younger Melanie.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
About describing how the reactor created its own gravitational field which carried the aircraft. That's the reason why we're able to move around.
So the thing is, we've essentially got to chuck all of our physics out the window.
No, but to be fair, there was the Area 51 myths was literally propagated by the Department of Defense to hide the fact that they were building. We know what they were building. They were building B-2 bombers, fixed-wing aircraft, and the predecessor of that, the F-117 Phantom. You've probably seen pictures of it during the Gulf War, that black triangular jet. So obviously someone looking at that thing would think, holy fuck, what is that?
But that's the problem. You can't really rely on eyewitness testimony when it comes down to.
You can.